Angola blessed the USA sisters and brothers, Awei Nusiemi. Pastor Mello speaking. In the name of Tata Nzambi ya Mazulu, creator of heaven and earth. The one who anointed me to be your servant and to get you prepared to go back to Zion, Congo dir Totola, Luvuvamu. Peace be with you, beloved family. Today we will address a very special subject. It is the blessing of the United States of America through the channel of a people unknown, despised and trampled. This people, originally from Angola, was the first to set foot on the soil of the nation that would become the USA in the fulfillment of a millennium prophecy. The first year of this prophecy was 1619 and its last year occurred very recently, in 2019. If you count it, it is very easy to see that this prophecy has spread over 400 years. This is what the prophecy says. And God spoke thus, His seed shall be a sojourner in a strange land, and they shall enslave them and evil entreat them, 400 years. Acts chapter 6 verse 7. I recommend that you read, or reread, my book, Dry Bones, Stand Up, https://bantu-family.net/wp-content/upload/dry-bones-stand-up.pdf, for full details on the biblical meanings of year 1619. But for a better understanding, let's sum up. That famous year, a group of innocent people was taken from their homeland, Angola, where was situated Ambassi, the capital of the Congo Kingdom, and sold as slaves in America, in the city of Jamestown, Virginia. They were the first of a number which would amount to millions and millions of African, Bantu people who would become a significant part of the population of the USA, 31 millions nowadays. But let us pause for a moment on the meaning of the word Ambassi. By giving the capital of their kingdom the name of Ambassi, this people referred to themselves on the face of the world as the children of Isilele. Indeed, Ambassi, which I will transcribe here embassy for more clarity, means in Kikongo, the angels, the envoys, the representatives of the TMH on earth. The word embassy hides a secret which, in the near future, will turn the world upside down. Indeed, by reading the syllables of this word from right to left, it becomes Nsimba. Now, Nsimba, which designates a twin in the multi-millenary Congo tradition, has exactly the same meaning as Jacob, i.e., the one who took hold. Who took hold of what? Of the heel of his twin brother, Esau, who came out first from their mother's womb, and after that came his brother out. And his hand took hold, Simba in Kikongo, of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. Genesis chapter 25 verse 26. Years later, Nsimba, resisting the angel of the TMH without weakening, took the name of Isilele, which means, I have chosen thee, and Jacob remained alone. And a man wrestled with him until the rising of the dawn. And when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the joint of his thigh, and the joint of Jacob's thigh was dislocated as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the dawn ariseth. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. And he said to him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall not henceforth be called Jacob, but Israel. For thou hast wrestled with God, and with men, and hast prevailed. Genesis chapter 32 verses 24 to 28. The above is about the name Nsimba Jacob. Now, let the Bible testifies on the name Isilele Israel. Meaning, I have chosen thee. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called from the extremities thereof, and to whom I said, Thou art my servant, I have chosen thee. Isaiah chapter 41 verse 9. To return to Ambassi, embassy, the capital of the Congo Kingdom, knowing that this word is a metathesis of Nsimba, which means Jacob, as we have just demonstrated. The first slaves having trod the soil of the USA were, in reality, descendants of Isalele Israel's father. They were sons and daughters of Isalele Israel, and as such, in spite of their condition as slaves, the blessing bestowed on their ancestor was irremediably stuck to the soles of their feet. Last November 25, one of the nation's greatest holidays was celebrated in the USA, Thanksgiving, marked as a national holiday on the fourth Thursday of November in the United States. Thanksgiving celebrates the harvest and other blessings of the past year, says Google. Know, O America, that without the presence on your land of Bantu people, true descendants of Jacob, Nsimba, originating from Angola, the blessings that give place to Thanksgiving every year would not exist. Having said this, know also that, since the 400 years of slavery decreed by the Most High fulfilled with metronomic precision, that is the first part of the prophecy, it will be likewise as refers to the second part. This will precipitate the return of the descendants of Nsimba Jacob to Congo Dia Totala, the kingdom of the totality, and the nation to which they shall be in bondage will judge, said God. And after these things they shall come forth and serve me this place Acts 7-7. Now we expressly invite to this tribune an illustrious daughter of Zion, Congo Dia Totala. Her name is Nicole Hannah-Jones. For those of you who do not know her, Nicole Hannah-Jones is a reporter winner of the famous Pulitzer Prize. Inspired by the Muanda Nsemi, she is committed to the awakening of consciences in the USA concerning the supreme importance of 1619 in the past, present and future history of the USA. Covering racial injustice for the New York Times Magazine, she created the landmark 1619 Project, which reframes U.S. history by marking the year 1619. Hannah-Jones, who completely ignores that she is an instrument in the hands of TMH, is struggling that 1619 be considered the country's foundational date. It was on the 400th anniversary of the first enslaved Africans landing in colonial Virginia in 1619 that the New York Times Magazine launched the 1619 Project as a special issue in 2019. It has now been expanded as an anthology of 18 essays along with poems and short stories that examine the legacy of slavery, dedicated to the more than 30 million descendants of American slavery. Many argue the 1619 Project has changed how history is taught and discussed in the United States. I had no idea, Hannah-Jones exclaims, that Black Americans had been here this long. That we had a lineage that went back almost as long as the English people who got all the credit for it. That number stood into me for an erasure and really made me understand that the history we are taught is not necessarily what's the most important things or all there is to know, but it's what someone has determined that we should know and that there's so much more out there, particularly if you're members of marginalized communities. That never gets into the history we tell ourselves. That erasure is very powerful. About the book she wrote on this topic, Hannah-Jones adds, The 1619 Project, A New Origin Story. The book is an extended version of the original that published in August of 2019. All of the original essays that were in that first project have all been significantly expanded. Then we have added 8 additional essays written by a range of some of the nation's most renowned historians, from Dr. Carol Anderson to Dr. Martha Jones to Dr. Dorothy Roberts. And they're covering a range of subject areas such as Indian removal and settler colonialism, citizenship, the creation of race, the Second Amendment. So it is really giving an even broader understanding of how the legacy of slavery shapes our modern society. The entire premise of the 1619 Project is that the legacy of slavery was not banished along with the institution of slavery in 1865. That slavery is one of the oldest institutions in our society. The English settled Jamestown in 1607 and by 1619, just 12 years later, they are engaging in African slavery. That is 150 years before they even decide, in 1776, they want to become their own country. That slavery shaped everything, nearly everything, about the country that would ultimately be established. For instance, we have an essay on citizenship which talks about the 14th Amendment and how the reason that we have birthright citizenship in the United States, where every person born on this soil has automatic citizenship, is because Black Americans generationally were not citizens of this country even though they were born here. After the end of slavery, they pushed very hard for a constitutional amendment that would guarantee them citizenship and all people born on the soil citizenship. So we can thank Black Americans for that. It talks about the creation of race and how these ideas of an inherent race and that one race is superior to another. And the fact that on every single form that we have for the government we have to choose a race, including our birth certificate, our marriage certificate, our death certificate. That is also a legacy of 1619. We have an article that talks about the Second Amendment that is by Dr. Carol Anderson out of Emory and really argues that our obsession with guns, we have more guns than almost any society in the world and we have the highest rates of gun violence, and that is also a legacy of slavery. That the Second Amendment, while we like to think of it as allowing citizens to form militias to ward off government tyranny, it also was allowing them to form militias to suppress slave rebellions. Because enslaved people were constantly rebelling. So every single essay in Hannah Jones' book really makes these modern connections. Slavery has influenced American society in so many ways, but people have really invisibilized that. Hannah Jones explains, "We've lost that connection and understanding. What I argue for the project is that the narrative of 1776 does not explain the insurrection on the Capitol in January. It does not explain George Floyd and why a white police officer could feel that he could kill a man in front of witnesses and would not have to worry about facing any consequences. And it certainly does not explain why we have a political party right now that is trying to instate minority rule. That is the legacy of 1619. When Hannah Jones won the Pulitzer Prize on the 1619 Project last year, she wrote, "Ida B. Wells and I were awarded the Pulitzer on the same day. How can I not believe that the ancestors, from Angola, intervened on this moment? I will sit in the truth of how they cleared a path for me, how they endured so that I and the 1619 Project could be." At the end of the first chapter of the 1619 Project she wrote, "We were told once by virtue of our bondage that we could never be American, but it was by virtue of our bondage that we became the most American of all. Our ancestors' blood is in this soil. Our ancestors have fought in every war this country has waged. And our ancestors are the reason we have the semblance of democracy that we have, and no one has a right to take that heritage from us. Black people," she says, "were not given citizenship in this country until the passage of the 14th Amendment after the end of slavery, and were not given rights of citizenship until the passage of the Civil Rights Bills in the 1960s. Yet because black people were the only forced immigrants to this country, because of the Middle Passage where we were forced to lose our language, our connection to a home country, any other group who immigrates here, they can bring food from their country, clothes from their country. They can write back to family members. They can go back and visit. Black people had that completely erased, which means this is our country, and we are a product of the New World in a way that no other group of people are. I wanted us to be able to claim the heritage of the land that we built. The kind of defining tension, the defining divide of American life begins in 1619 with the introduction of African slavery. Even our very democracy, the idea that we are the oldest continuing democracy in the world, was predicated on excluding black people, was predicated on a democracy that for the first 200 years was a democracy of white men. And now that we have a democracy that includes all kinds of people of color and women, our democracy is very frail. So I think that we are in scary times." Scary times? Yes, dear sister. That's why Angola, in memory of 1619, Angola. On the ground of the accomplishment of the 400 years in 2019, your ancestors in Congo Dia en Totola are calling you back home. I pray the Most High that this video not only reaches you but moves your heart to the point of wishing to know more. Do not hesitate, via mnjosias@gmail, to get in touch with your humble servant. Ingata. One Love. Pastor Mello.
C'est loué, c'est loué, c'est loué. Monongele, lusala e luvu vamu.